Today we are going to discuss about the module 4 or the domain 4, data loading and unloading into Snowflake. So these are the objectives of this module. Define concept and best practices that should be considered when loading the data, stage and stages type, file size, file formats, folder structure, ad hoc or bulk loading using the Snowflake UI. Second is outline different command used to load the data into and when they should be used. So create pipe, copy into, get, insert, insert overwrite, put, stream, task and validate. The third objective is define concepts and best practices that should be considered when unloading the data. So file formats, empty string and null values, unloading to a single file, unloading relational tables. These are the third objectives. Fourth objectives is outline the different commands used to unload data and when they should be used. So list, copy into, create file formats, clone, alter file format, drop file format, describe file format and show file format. To understand the loading concept better, let's move to the mind map of this, how we can memorize all these concepts. Let's understand first by using this mind map how the data is getting loaded into Snowflake. To load the data into Snowflake, there is two ways to load. One is batch load and another is real-time load. Batch load means you are loading the data into batches, and in real time the data is continuously getting loaded into Snowflake from some other systems. In batch load or the ad hoc load, how the data is getting loaded? We can load the data using files, insert statement or the ETL tool. Okay, so ETL tool also used to load the data into batches. So for example, if we need to process the last day's date of transactions, so through any ETL tool we can push the data into Snowflake using insert statement. So you can prepare the insert statement and you can execute to load the data into Snowflake. Also from files we can directly load the data into Snowflake. Okay, so what all the other ways? So from files, right? So from files, if you want to load the data, those files has to be either in the internal stage or in the external stage of Snowflake. Okay, what does the stage mean here? Stage is a place where you are keeping your files before loading the data into table or before loading the files data into tables. So this is some kind of a place where you are going to keep your files. External stage, what it means, Snowflake can create the external stage on the S3 or the Azure blob or the Google Cloud Storage. It can create the stages there. Okay, so basically it uses the cloud storage layer to store the data there. Okay, so external stage, what is the benefit? We will discuss this later. Also Snowflake supports the internal stages. Internal stages means its own on which cloud you have your Snowflake running. On that storage area it will create a internal stage. Okay, to load the data from files, the files has to be present in the internal stage or the external stage. Okay, and from both the stages we can load the data using copy into command. Okay, now there will be two commands, get and put. Okay, get and put commands will be used when we are using the internal stage. Okay, get is to get the data from internal stage to your local, and put command will be used to put the data from your local machine to the internal stage. Okay, so put will be used for the data loading and get will be used for the data unloading. Okay, unloading from the internal stage to your local system. Okay, data can be ingested into Snowflake in real time by using two methods. One is using ETL tools or the Snowpipe. ETL tools, for example, StreamSet is one of the ETL tool. You can make Spark streaming jobs as well to load the data into Snowflake. And StreamSet is also one of the tool which you use to load the data into real time into Snowflake. Snowpipe. So Snowpipe is work with the external stages, okay, and it requires some kind of trigger mechanism to load the data into Snowflake. Okay, so how it is created? Basically, whenever the data is available into the external stage, Snowpipe is just load the data from that external stage to the table, okay, using the copy into command. But to execute that part, whenever the file is available, there is a notification is required. Okay, notification means, suppose if we are using S3 bucket as an external location from AWS, the notification, there are services SNS and SQS will be used to notify this Snowpipe like the file is available now. So whenever it is notified Snowpipe the file is available, it start processing that file. Okay, so this is how the data is getting loaded into Snowflake in the real-time manner. Okay, there is another consideration when we are loading the data as a batch load or from the Snowpipe using the files, the ideal file size. So the ideal file size is 100 to 250 MB of compressed file we should use to load the data whenever we are loading the data from the files, okay, using copy into command. That will give you the best performance. If you are taking like 1000 GB of file, it is not going to help you. Okay, so the file size should be ideal, and it is small so that Snowflake can easily process that file. Okay, with the Snowpipe, the small size file would be better to continuously load the data. For example, you can keep the data as a 50 to 100 MB in size compressed one, so that you will have the optimized performance. In Snowpipe, the compute credits are calculated separately. It is not part of the warehouse consumption, because it is a kind of some serverless compute will be used in this one. Whereas when we are loading the data as a batch load from the files and all, and whenever we are running the copy into command, normally it will be consumed the warehouse credits. Okay, and it will also depends on the size of the warehouse for the performance of the data loading. So we have seen all these topics in the mind map, how the data loading works, what all the different ways, and the interrelated concept to that. Okay, now let's deep dive into each of these concept. So define concept and best practices that should be considered when loading the data. Okay, stage and stage types. So what is the stage? Stage is a place where we can keep the data before loading or unloading of the Snowflake data. Okay, so stages of two types, internal and external. Internal is managed by Snowflake, and the files in the internal stage will be deleted by the Snowflakes, okay, after some time. So the cleaning and all will be taken care by the Snowflake automatically. Whereas if we use the external stage, the files, if you want to remove, you need to remove manually. Okay, so it is not going to remove automatically, so that we need to take care. Okay, what all can be the external stage, or where we can create the external stage? External stage can be any the cloud provider storage area. So in case of AWS, it could be S3, Azure Blob storage, or the Google Cloud storage. Okay, file size and file format. Okay, so file size is also one of the consideration when you are loading the data. Okay, so as we have also discussed, the ideal size of the file should be 100 MB to 250 MB of compressed size. Okay, it is not like you make very small files, multiple files. So suppose if you want to load the data of 10 GB, okay, and you have each file of 10 MB only, okay, so you can consider the number of files will be very more, and it may also create some kind of overhead to the loading of the data into Snowflake. So that is not the optimal size. The optimal size is 100 to 250 MB compressed file. These are the ideal to load the data into Snowflake. Okay. What is the file format supported by Snowflake? So there are CSV, JSON, Avro, ORC, Parquet, and XML. Okay. These are the only file formats currently supported by the Snowflake. And in certification, there could be one questions among this. They will give you like 5 options. Out of 5, only 3 is maybe the correct one and 2 may not be the correct one. Okay, so this could be also one of the file format scenario. Okay, but basically what is the file format while loading the data? Okay, so file format is defined in the Snowflake so that Snowflake can understand the input of the data is coming in the which format, so that it is able to understand the data and load into the Snowflake. So next time when you are querying that data, it will be easy for you in the proper format to show on the Snowflake table. Okay, so we can define various type of CSVs versions as well, like we can have pipe delimited or anything we can use it, pipe, comma delimited. We can also use all the best practices for JSON, Avro, and ORC. Okay. Now let's move to the next point, that is the folder structure. Okay. So what is the meaning of the folder structure? So folder structure is basically used to properly align the data. Okay. In the staging area, to properly align the data, we use the folder structure. Suppose from somewhere the data is coming every day and you are loading that data into the Snowflake. Okay, so the best approach is you should create per day one directory or the folder on the staging area, and then you should load that data into your target table. Okay, with this way it is better to manage the data. Okay, and easy also. So folder structures refers to the organization of files in a directory or cloud storage system. A well organized folder structure can make it easier to manage and load the data. It's recommended to organize files by source, date, and any other logical grouping that makes sense for the data being loaded. Okay, so I hope this folder structure is clear. It's not that difficult. Yeah, now the ad hoc and bulk loading. Okay, so there is two types of bulk loading. The loading we can see in the Snowflake. One is the ad hoc loading and one is the bulk loading. Okay, we have also seen the two types, like the real-time streaming and the batch load. Okay, that is different, and this one is a little bit different. Okay, so ad hoc load, how we can do that? Ad hoc load means whenever we need, we can load the data. Okay, that means in Snowflake UI, there is an option to load the CSV file or any file directly into Snowflake. So that is the manual process completely, and that we consider as a ad hoc load. Okay, I will be showing you that in some time, how to load the file from the Snowflake UI. Okay, next is the bulk loading. In the bulk loading, we can use the copy command and we can directly load the data from some external location, S3, some external stage or the internal stage. Okay, the bulk loading is like we are keeping so many files in one place and we are loading those into Snowflake. So that is the bulk load. Okay, so in migration, this bulk loading is very much useful. Suppose you want to load entire data set which is available in the Oracle to the Snowflake. How you can do that? Okay, there could be many ways. One option is like you can use the ETL tool and create some pipelines, read the data from Oracle and load into the Snowflake. This is one option. Second option, export the data set into some known file format. Okay, compress it, upload those into the S3 location or the any cloud storage location. From there, just use the copy into command and load data into Snowflake. Okay. This copy into command, when you are using the any ETL tool as well, in that time as well, it is work like behind the scene. The copy into command only works in the Snowflake. Okay. So in stream set, whenever you are loading the data, you need to give the staging area, so that first it keeps the file into the staging area, and from there it's execute the copy into command into Snowflake, so that the final data can be loaded into the target tables. So behind the scene, copy into command will be running whenever you are doing any kind of data loading. Okay. Yeah. So now the second topic is outline different commands used to load data and when they should be used. Okay. So we have these 4 commands: create pipe, copy into, get, and insert overwrite. Okay. So what is create pipe? Okay, so let's first understand what is pipe in Snowflake. Okay, so whenever you want to continuously load the data into Snowflake, that time we create a pipe. Okay, pipe is nothing but it's kind of extension of the copy into command. Okay, so if we talk about the copy into command, what it does, copy into command, it simply copies the data from internal or external stage to the Snowflake. Okay, so just think a copy into command, we are copying the data from external stage to the Snowflake. Okay, if we create a pipe on top of it, that pipe, what it will do, whenever it gets the notification the file is arrived there, it will automatically execute this copy command. Okay, so create pipe or this command is used to create the Snowpipe, and Snowpipe is used to continuously load the data. Okay, so this command is used to create a continuous data pipeline between an external source and a target table into Snowflake. The create pipe command can be used to set up real-time data ingestion from external stage. Okay, one main thing is to note here, Snowpipe is only works with the external stage. It will not work with the internal stage. Okay, Snowpipe we can create on top of the internal one, but it will not be automatically loading the data. You need to run it manually. Okay, why? Because as of now there is no internal mechanism to notify the Snowpipe the file is arrived. Okay, and we will also see how this Snowpipe is works. I will also give the one documentation on Medium I have created, through which you can configure the Snowpipe whenever you need in the AWS S3 and Snowflake. Okay, so copy into, this command is used to load the data from an external stage into a target table in Snowflake. It is the recommended method for bulk data loading. The copy into command can load data from various file formats including CSV, JSON, Parquet, Avro, and the XML. Okay, so copy into is a simple one. Okay, and we will see how we can load the data from using copy into from the external stage or the internal stage. Okay, get. If you remember from the mind map, when we use this get command, okay, this command is to download data from an internal stage in Snowflake to a local machine. Okay, so this get command is basically used into the unloading of the data, not the loading of the data. Okay, so whenever we want to get the data from the Snowflake to your local machine, we will use the get command. Okay, in terms like we can say we are loading the data here into your local machine from the Snowflake, how you can do this. Okay, the last is the insert and insert override. So this is a simple SQL statement where you can create a SQL statement and insert the data into Snowflake. Okay, the difference between insert and insert override is, in insert you are just appending one row at a time, right? Okay, but whenever you are running the insert override, it first override the data whatever is existing into that table. Okay, so insert overwrite we never used for single row input. We mostly use whenever we are fetching data from any other system and from any other table. Okay, and basically when we use this, like insert statement with select statement. Okay, so these commands are used to load data into table one row at a time. Insert append the data, whereas insert overwrite truncate the table and then insert the data. Okay, so these are the use of this command. Okay, and in place of get, what is the put? We have known. So put is to use to put the files from the local system to the external stage, the internal stage. Okay, so the put command is to use load the data from your local machine to the internal stage. Okay, yeah, outline different command used to load data and when they should be used. Okay, so now we have just seen put. When we use put we use when we need to load the data from your local machine to the internal stage. Okay, that time we use the put command, and to use the put command we should have the SnowSQL installed in our machine. Okay, the other thing is the streams. Okay, we will see this. So as per the definition, this command is used to upload data from a local machine to an internal stage in Snowflake. It is typically used when a user needs to upload small amount of data into Snowflake. Okay, so how we can completely load that data into Snowflake table? So either through the Snowflake UI we can load a small file into Snowflake, or second option, if you are using SnowSQL, put that file from your local machine to the internal stage, and from internal stage to the Snowflake table you can use the copy command to load the data into Snowflake table. Okay, stream. Okay, so stream, this command is used to capture the data change into the table. Okay, basically CDC, the term, if you are aware, change data capture. Okay, so this stream is to use to capture the data into for any table. Okay, how it will works, let me explain you a little bit. So if we create a stream on any of the table, okay, then any kind of insert, update, delete, these three types of statement are running on that table. It is creating the metadata of it. Okay, so for each transaction it is creating some kind of log. Okay, it is creating some kind of log, and if you go to that stream you can see whether that statement was inserted or deleted or updated, whatever, and based on that transactions we can load the data or we can maintain the other tables data. Okay, so stream we can generally use to change to capture the change into the table. Okay, and sometimes, like if you want to perform the SCD type 2 or anything, we can use the stream because it is giving us what all the different transactions executed on that particular table. Okay, we will see more in detail with the implementation how you can use this stream into Snowflake. Okay, another is the task. So how to use the task? So this command is to use to schedule and automate data loading process in Snowflake. A task can be used to execute a SQL statement such as copy into command on a schedule. Okay, so task is basically a scheduler provided by Snowflake. There you can schedule any SQL statement to execute at any point of time. Okay, so while defining which query needs to be executed, we need to provide the warehouse on which it will going to run and the time at what time it is going to run. Okay, we can also set the dependency between two tasks. Okay, so it's a simple scheduler which is available in the Snowflake. Next is the validate command. Okay, so this command is to use to validate the data loaded into the table. The validate command can check for errors such as data truncation or type mismatch that may have occurred during the loading process. Okay, so validate is used when we are loading the data from a file using copy into command. Okay, So whenever we are running any copy into command, after copy into command, we can validate the table to see if there is any error while loading the data into it. Okay, that we can know. Okay, along with this, while loading the data as well, there will be some options, okay, in the copy into command, whether what we want to do in case of any error while loading the data. Okay, so there could be some scenario like we want to just load the data and we can ignore these errors. That will also work. Okay, and in validate, we will check these which all different types of error may have occurred with the table. Okay, so this is all about the data loading, and we will see all these options, how we can use it in the Snowflake. So now we are in the Snowflake screen. So I have this table already, the employee table, which is having only 10 records. Okay, so what is the simplest method to insert the data into any table? Okay, to load the data into any table, the simplest method is the insert statement. So this is the syntax of insert statement. Insert into employee values. The first column is ID. We are giving value as 11, name as Anupam Kushwah, age is 20, gender is male, and department ID is 101. Okay, so this is the simplest method to insert the data into any table. So one row has been inserted, and we can check the data as well. So you can see row 11 is appearing here. Okay, the other option, we have the insert overwrite. Okay, so as I mentioned, the difference between insert and insert overwrite is just the when we use the overwrite keyword, it will truncate the table and load the data again. Okay, so basically whatever the data is there before this statement, that will be wiped out. Okay, so let me run this statement. Okay, so number of rows inserted 1. Okay, now let's see again how many records are there in the employee table. So only one record is there in the employee table. That means insert override the existing data. Okay, so these are the two variations for insert and insert override. Yeah, now we are not dropping the table or creating it again. Okay, now we will move to the other methods, how we can load the data into Snowflake. So the other methods are, we can load the data using copy into command. Okay, and to execute the copy into command, we need some raw data. Also, we need to create the stage. Okay, whether it is external or internal, we need to create the stage, and in a stage we need to place the file. Okay, so I'm creating the one internal stage here. So the statement of creating internal stage, or sorry, the external stage is create or replace stage. You can give any name of that stage, the URL. Okay, as this is external stage, so I'm creating on S3 location. So my stage, the URL we need to give. Okay, so these are the parameters we need to pass: the URL, the credentials. In credentials, we need to provide the AWS access key and the secret key. Okay, so I have defined those as a parameter before, so so that it will not appear here. So let me execute this statement. Create and replace unexpected $. Okay, let me run it again. Yeah, okay, so my stage has created already. Okay, so if I want to see what is there in my stage, what command we have? Okay, so it is similar to the Unix command. How we can check? We have option of list. Okay, if I execute it as list, okay, so you can see which all files are available there on this bucket already. Okay, in case of list, you can also use the ls command. Okay, ls or list, both are the same. As we work in the Unix, you will get the same. Okay, along with ls you will see two more the command, the get and put. Okay, when you are dealing with the internal stage. Okay, we are not using the internal stage, so the get and put will not be required. Okay, so we have this one file emp.csv. okay, and it is having the data as the same. Okay, so suppose if you want to see the data, okay, this file is there. If you want to see the data, how you can see that? Okay, so let me just show you that. We can have select star from this. Okay, star will not work here. Let me run it and show you. Okay, yeah, select with no columns, error, select with no columns. So what we need to do, we need to give the columns. So column we can give as a kind of parameter here. So $1, $2, $3, $4. Okay, as we know, we have only 4 columns, right? If I'm running it again, I will be able to see the data. So in the first column we will have this ID, in the second column we have the names, third column we have the age, fourth column we have the gender. Okay, and I don't think we have any more column. Let me see. Oh, we do have this department ID as well. Okay, so you need to define as a $1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whenever you want to query the direct data directly from the file which is available on the stage. Okay, so this is one. Okay, now how we can copy that data into our employee table? Okay, so this is the statement: copy into employee from. We just need, we can give either we can give the total file path, or we can just define the this stage name, and we need to define the format and all. Okay, but here I'm not defining any format. That is the option. If it is not CSV, then we need to give it. Okay, so with copy command, the format will also, you can use which format you are using the file. So if it is not CSV, if it is JSON, then you need to define the file format as well. Okay, so let me execute this statement. Yes, so it will show row parsed, row loaded. Okay, error limit 1. So it will show, yeah, these are the parameters as well. You can define the error limit while loading the data. There are various options. I will put the link of the copy statement variations, which all options are available there, so you can go and explore that part. Okay, so the file has 10 rows and it is loaded all the 10 rows, so we are good. We can query this table again. Okay, it should have 11 records because one record was already there in that table, and we have loaded remaining 10 columns. Okay, so this is all about the data loading and all. One thing you can do while loading the data, right? Okay, so we have seen the validate statement, right? So what it does, it just check whether the data loaded in the file, if we are using the copy command, whether it has any error or not. Okay, so the syntax of this, like select star from table, in bracket we need to give validate. Which table we need to validate? Employee, job ID is _ last. That means it will just check the last copy command which we executed. Okay, so there was no error previously, right? So we are not getting any error over here. So this is one of the method to validate the data when we are using the copy into command. Okay, so these are the topics I want to show you as a part of data loading. There is 3 things are remaining. Okay, one is a stream, second is task, and third is Snowpipe or the pipe. Okay, so these are very big topic, and I will be going to cover stream and task as how you can use those to implement the S3 type 2. I will be covering those in the separate video. Another is the Snowpipe. That is also a little bit big topic. Like this video is already big. I don't want to make further more. So I will be creating 2 more videos on this series. For one is on stream and task, to demonstrate how we can implement stream and task to implement S3 type 2 in Snowflake, and second one on the Snowpipe, how you can configure the Snowpipe, how you can create the Snowpipe. Okay, so yeah, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and share your comments and like the video. Thank you so much, guys.